Good morning. My name is Galen, and today we're going to take a look at Matthew chapter 5, which is basically the Beatitudes. It's where it starts, and it goes on to chapter 6 and 7. And so this is going to be a hard chapter for me to do. I don't know that I feel that I'm worthy to do it because, I don't feel like I'm worthy to do any of this, to be honest with you. But I feel like it needs to be done, and I feel like I'm supposed to. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. As long as I get one person looking at these videos, I think I'll keep going. But anyhow, Beatitudes is tough. It really super gets in deep and heavy, and a lot of people look at it and say, "Oh yeah, that's what we're supposed to do," but it's nobody who's following it. So the first thing is between Matthew chapter 4 and Matthew chapter 5, there's a lot that happened between that. And, I've heard preachers and things talk about it, and it looks, it seems like there's probably about a year that happened between the two. Matthew chapter 4, there was, he just picked up the 4 disciples, and in Matthew chapter 5, he's already got 12. And he's been ministering around and doing things, and he's basically been healing the sick and doing that kind of stuff. And so he's got quite the crowd following him around. And so before he started this Sermon on the Mount, he was actually, the reason why it was on the Mount is because he was climbing to try to get away from the crowd a little bit with his disciples. He was trying to spend some time with his disciples and let them know, all right, here we go. This is it. We're going to start doing this, and here's my expectations from you. Now, so I think the sermon itself was geared more towards those disciples and not really towards the crowd. But I think that we as all Christians, need to apply this, of course. And I think the world as a whole should apply it as well. We should offer it to the world. But I really think it was being told to the disciples and the expectations that he was letting them know that they were going to have to meet. And so when he says, "Blessed are the poor, blessed are those who mourn, who meek, blessed are those who are hungry and thirsty, blessed are the merciful, pure in heart, the peacemakers, and those who are persecuted for his name's sake." He's talking to his people who are following him and who are going along witnessing and ministering and doing things to, for the world, for Christ's name. And these are things that are going to happen to them along the way. And he's letting them know when you get to heaven, you're going to be rewarded for those things, these persecutions and these things that happen to you. And that's how I read it, and I think that is the proper way to see it. But again, the whole world they can all get from this. We can offer this to the world, so it's okay to have that. But to use that against Christianity, to try to compare it to, like, we shouldn't have a military or we shouldn't have law enforcement that protect us from criminals, or go to war against an enemy that's trying to kill us, I think is the wrong attitude. I think we need to be able to defend ourselves. And I actually, in my own way of seeing it, I think that is being a peacemaker. If we'd have let Hitler take over the world, what kind of peacemaker are we? So I think we need to do that. And then, of course, he goes on and talks about being the salt of the earth, and doing good deeds, helping out your neighbor. Go over there. If your neighbor's got a problem and he needs help, doing something, go give him a hand, Let your light shine, he says, and we need to do that. Then he goes on and talks about how we need to obey the laws, and he didn't come to do away with them, but he came to fulfill them, and he expected us to stick with that. And I've heard a lot of Christians and people talk about how God's done away with the law, and if we accept Jesus 100%, into our heart, and we don't need to worry about it. We can do anything we want, because we're covered. We're covered by the blood. I've heard that 100 times, and I agree with it in the point where when you stumble, he's got you covered in that. But at the same time, I think that we need to do what we're supposed to do and do the right thing. And I don't think we should just, expect that we're going to make it and make it to heaven or be part of God's plan if we're just going to go around and keep doing bad things and then just turn around and, try to use that for, use God for our own justification. I don't think it works that way. I think that's why in the Bible later on, Jesus says, those are those who's going to come to heaven. He's going to say, I don't even know who you are. And they say, well, I did this and I did that in your name. He's going to say, I don't know you. Get away from me. Depart from me. I don't know you. I think there's something to that. So we need to try to fulfill those and obey those laws. Now, we're not going to always do it. And he does have us covered in our weaknesses and stuff. So I do believe that as well. But then he goes on and he starts teaching the disciples about how, you shouldn't even think about doing a murder. And if somebody is murdered, you shouldn't be happy for it, and the temptations. And how about divorce? You think we as Christians are supposed to just get a divorce because we're just tired of it? I think we need to work through it. And, he was, I think we really do. I think we need to work through that as best we can. And, but again, I don't know everything. I know if a woman's getting beat by her husband, I don't think she should stay with him. That's my own opinion. And I think God's got to be covered by his blood if I'm wrong. But that's my opinion. I don't think a woman should be beat. I think the husband that's getting beat should pay the penalty of getting beaten himself, in my opinion. But for me, the hardest thing is forgiving others. I've always been pretty good at it, but I've had a couple instances that where I felt betrayed, by different things, and I've had a hard time with that. When I think that sometimes when you're really loyal to somebody and they let you down, they used you. You find out later that they were using you. I don't like that. I have a hard time with that. But I'm working on it, and I am forgiving. I am doing that. But right now I'm not forgiving for them. I'm forgiving for me. So, I can let it go in my own mind. I'm not quite there where I'm forgiving for them. And, maybe y'all can pray for me a little bit because I am struggling. I do struggle just a little bit with that one. But that doesn't happen very often. But I have had it happen, and boy, it just really makes me mad. Anyhow, so I'm working on this, and I'm not perfect, and I don't none of you are if you want the truth of it. But the one who preached this, Jesus, he is perfect, and that's why, we're aiming for him. And so anyhow, that's what I'm getting out of reading the Beatitudes. And I got Matthew chapter 5 done. Now we need to do 6 and 7. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle for me, but we'll get through it. And so anyhow, God's good, and it's tough. It's tough when you read this and you start getting in deep. So it gets kind of tough, but we'll get through this. And so anyhow, smile because God's good.